begin the hour with CNN's Priscilla Alvarez. Priscilla, are these raids still happening this morning? It sounds like this is ramping up as the days go on.
I'm told by sources that this is going to be a multi-day operation that is going to happen across the United States. They're calling this enhanced enforcement operations. What does that mean? Well, this is going to be multiple agencies, not only ICE, but also Justice Department agencies who were given immigration authority last week. That includes, for example, DEA, ATF, the U.S. Marshals. They are all coming together to what the Trump officials are calling force multipliers. I spoke to White House Border Czar Tom Homan last night, and he told me that this was a, quote, game changer, and that the focus in Chicago, and again, it wasn't just enforcement action in Chicago, but that's where he was on the ground, was a, quote, criminal operation. So again, what we are seeing that is different in this scenario is that there are so many agencies that are coming together for this operation of arresting undocumented immigrants in the United States. Now, the numbers that Immigration and Customs Enforcement put out last night was nearly 1,000. So if we look at that as a day, well, in the last year, arrests hovered around 300 a day. So that would be higher, and they're expecting to ramp that up over time. Now, as far as where else we may see this, well, it can be in multiple cities across the United States, according to the sources I've been talking to. And while they are saying that this is to target public safety and national security threats, it could very well also affect many other undocumented immigrants in the United States. If they are in the path of these operations, it has not been off the table that they may be taken into custody as well as the fear within the immigrant community as this continues on over the course of the weeks to come, according to Trump officials.
Yeah, a lot of fear right now. And Brazil apparently is calling out the Trump administration for its, quote, degrading treatment of migrants. What can you tell us about that?
Well, this was a pushback from Brazil over a repatriation flight. They said that they had concerns about the treatment of the passengers and the degrading treatment, citing U.S. agreements that say that migrants should be handled humanely and with respect. Here is a soundbite of a Brazilian man who was on this flight.
They attacked the kids. I sat there until I reached my limit. I couldn't take it anymore. People fainted. I asked to leave, and he choked me. He pulled my handcuffs. I couldn't stay because I was handcuffed on my feet and stomach. There was nothing I could do. The security guard's arm started bleeding because he was pulling my chain, squeezing me.
Now, we're still collecting more details about the circumstances of this flight. Typically, immigrants would not be handcuffed during the flight, but it does happen in scenarios where there may be a specific threat or criminal history. So again, we're still collecting details, but just some context there in terms of what he was referring to when it comes to handcuffs.
All right, Priscilla Alvarez, thank you. In the meantime, migrant rights groups in Chicago are now suing the Trump administration and ICE, saying planned deportation operations are retaliatory and violate the First and Fourth Amendments. The lawsuit claims that the raids specifically target Chicago for its sanctuary city status. Let's bring in Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul. Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I guess, first of all, this lawsuit says that the Trump administration has, quote, declared Chicago ground zero for immigration enforcement. What do you make of that?
Well, I haven't seen the lawsuit that you're referring to, but certainly we've heard prior to President Trump taking office that Chicago would be targeted. We were expecting it. I think immigration enforcement should take place. However, it should not be targeted for political reasons.
And, sir, I wonder if you can help us out with something. NBC is citing Trump administration officials reporting that more ICE operations are expected today in Illinois. Are you hearing that as well? Are you getting notification from ICE officials, from the administration, that this is going on or this is ramping up?
Quite frankly, the notification I'm getting is from you and the rest of the media, unfortunately. Historically, we've had a good working relationship with our federal law enforcement partners, and we want to continue that. I started that halfway through first Trump administration, and we plan on continuing that focus on criminal operations. However, it's been a collaboration with communication, and I'm learning about things through the media.
And Mr. Attorney General, what is the reaction that you're hearing from the community right now? Are you hearing about heavy-handed tactics, U.S. citizens being picked up accidentally? Can you tell us anecdotally what you're hearing, what's coming across your desk as these operations are unfolding?
Well, unfortunately, this shock and awe approach, which involves trying to have cameras and having, celebrities like Dr. Phil embedded within, is meant to upset a community that we rely on to partake in solving public safety problems. Having this undermines the ability for communities to come forth and collaborate with law enforcement to solve crimes when it's being said that this operation is to focus on people who have committed crimes. I think it's going to have an opposite effect in the long run. It's a wide net seemingly being casted, and inevitably you'll have effects of racial profiling and upsetting a community that would otherwise collaborate with law enforcement.
Well, you mentioned Dr. Phil, the daytime talk show host. I did want to ask you about that because he is now apparently joining in on Trump's immigration crackdown or getting access to it. He filmed at the ICE Command Center in Chicago, even questioned a detainee with Tom Homan, the head of ICE. Do you know why Dr. Phil, a TV personality, is getting involved in all of this, getting all this access? What's going on?
I think it's ridiculous. It's making a mockery of what is supposed to be a focused. If it's law enforcement, if it's focusing on criminals, you don't invite folks like that who have no law enforcement background to be embedded within. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's done for the show, and I think it's done to upset community and to score political points with those who want to divide.
And it sounds like he's getting access, whereas we're not seeing the rest of the media getting access. What does that tell you? Isn't that a little strange?
Yes, you have somebody that's favorable to the message that you want to send. That's it's adverse to our First Amendment for sure. But it's also adverse to appropriate law enforcement practices.
Mr. Attorney General, this immigration crackdown is sparking fear across the country. I'm sure you're hearing this. Migrants are refusing to leave their homes. They don't want to go to school. They don't want to go to work. We learned of 2 young sisters in a Chicago suburb who haven't gone to school since Trump took office. And let's listen to a woman who says her father was taken by ICE yesterday after living in the U.S. for 30 years. Let's listen to this.
For them to just take like that. I'm already heartbroken myself, and I can't really imagine little kids whose families are breaking apart because of this.
Mr. Attorney General, what do you say to the migrants in your state right now who are terrified? And I guess what's the message to the White House border czar, Tom Homan?
The reality is, I'm a son of Haitian immigrants and who made tremendous contributions to this country during their decades here. Likewise, that we have millions of immigrants who are doing the same, upon whom our economy leans on. And I think this is going to have an upsetting effect on our economy, on the stability of our communities. These are people who make contributions, pay taxes, and are just part of the fabric of our community here in Chicago and throughout the nation.
And Mr. Attorney General, one thing that we heard from Tom Homan and from this administration is that they are warning public officials like yourself not to get in the way of these ICE operations. What's your response to that? And are you making any, efforts on your part to say, hang on a second, you can't go in there and do some of the things that you're trying to do? Or are you concerned that if you do that, the administration will come after you?
Well, I don't react to such intimidation tactics. No, I have no intent on interfering with legal immigration enforcement processes. What is clear here in the state of Illinois is that we have a Trust Act that says that local and state law enforcement resources cannot be used for such unless there's a federal criminal warrant or other federal law. And so it's my duty to uphold the law of the state of Illinois. We have a 10th Amendment that has that grows out of it an anti-commandeering doctrine that says that the federal government cannot commandeer local and state officials to do the work of the federal government. And I'm going to stand by our Constitution. I'm going to stand by our state law.
All right, Mr. Attorney General Kwame Raoul of Illinois, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.